Hello YouTube, it's me, Lightshaver, and I'm doing part 2 of my video for how to build Constellars. And today we're going over the XYZ pile. I won't spend too much time rambling on it because it's really up to the player. I'll talk about the important ones, merely glance over some of the lesser options, and that'll be it. I'll start first with the rank 3 Constellar Hydras. He can switch all your opponent's monsters to defense mode during your turn. He's rank 3. You don't really want to run rank 3s because Constellar's really a rank 4 or rank 5 deck, because the only rank level 3 commonly run is Sheraton, and if you have Cuss, you're gonna go up to level 5 instead of going down to level 3, or you're gonna bring Sheraton up to level 4, so I just not really needed. Only real benefit is you go overlay M7 on him to overrun stuff. Don't recommend it. Next is Constellar Omega. Takes 2 level 4 lights, which all the Constellars is light. He's a group forbidden lands for your Constellar monsters, which is good because Constellars don't like back row. Back row stops them from XYZ summoning or getting off effects. You want at least 1 Omega, maybe 2. Constellar Beehive is the beater of the deck. Yeah, his name is Prosperous, but I typically like the OCG names the better, so I'm gonna call him Beehive. He could give a Constellar 1000 attack during the damage step once per turn. Puts him at 3400, beats over Judgment Dragon, any single ruler monster, pretty much any boss you're gonna come in contact with. Normally outside of Obelisk, you want at least 1 Beehive. I tried 2 before, works okay, but you really only gonna ever need 1. Next is really the boss of the archetype, Constellar Pelides. He can bounce a card during either player's turn, any card. Super walking compulsory. His effect is so abusable that most of the spell and trap card section I'm going to be mentioning Pelides a lot. You want to run at least 2. You might want to run 3 if you have the room. Good boss monster. Constellar Messiah 7. He's the real boss of the archetype, but he's not summoned as much because generally Pelides' effect is gonna be more helpful for you, but M7 effect shines that he can recycle Sombres or honors from your graveyard, and that you can overlay him on any Constellar monster, but sadly you can't get his effect the turn that you overlay him over a Constellar monster. And the deck has no legitimate way of making rank 6 on their own besides double cuts, because you're not gonna run these. M7 is limited, so you only run 1. Next list he'll be at 3, so you might consider 2, but definitely not 3. Now I'm gonna talk about these 2 particular monsters because I feel they have synergy with the Constellars more so than other cards, even though Balk is good, and I'm going to talk about him after these 2 probably. Star Leech plus Dynamo is like an extra problem solver, extra beater, negates the effect, and puts it at 0. Easy to run over. You want to run at least 1 of him. When he's destroyed, you draw a card, which is helpful. He was showing the Sasha Knight. I said his name horribly wrong, but try not to waste so much time. He's like a Black Rose Dragon for rank 4s. Now the reason I mentioned he has synergy with the Constellars is Constellars usually don't plus or at least not as much as other decks, so they'll usually have less than the opponents, so they'll be able to get off his effect more often than other decks. He's also light, so good for honest, but Dynamo's also light, which is why I mentioned these two next, because of their synergy. You want one of both of these because you don't have room for more of them. Orcs Knight's gonna be new standard for removing stuff. If you run Orcs Knight, I don't recommend you running Mindstroke, but Orcs Knight do have a slight weakness. If he's hit while coming out, he loses the material, then he can't get off his effect, and that's the main differences between him and Mindstroke, because he's gonna take the opponent's monster and attach it to himself, which is better than Mindstroke's effect by a noticeable amount. My Mindstroke also will play slightly more defense. Is up to the player. I'll work my way to Valk when I get through these next few. The Constellar, this is honestly only here for really Mummiel. You could use it against Dragon Rulers and Dark Wall, but I'm gonna be honest with you, all my time of using the deck, Constellar never worked out well for me. He got a weak body, but if you could protect him with trap cards, he'll do his job. Only run one if you want to run one. Next, Cowboy, extra deck staple. Get that 800, and when they think they save, well, they know they're not safe anymore. So just run the one, cause your extra deck's gonna be very crowded. You go throwing Royal Bulls, the only 3 map material in this pile. He's considered the best 3 material, rank 4. Run 1 if you want to run 1. He has 3 effects. They're all decent and good, but Constellar's usually not going to have 3 monsters on the field unless you get it through some type of blocks, a Jiggy, Cosplay, Sombre, blocks, something else, and you'd be better off just going into Pelides instead of another Constellar monster on the field, but it's up to the player. Now Valkasaurus should be running Constellars because, well, it's an awesome card. It destroys the opponent's monster and inflicts battle damage equal to its original attack. Even though it can't attack directly the turn, it can still attack, which in itself is amazing. But you can get over the restriction by overlaying Gaia Charger. Gaia Charger could go over any rank 5, rank 6, which make Gaia Charger good in the deck as well. Obviously, you get to on the standard rate, you get to rank 5s, run 1. If you think you can fit 2 in here, you can run 2, because you might need to if you want to run Star Cradle because of its restriction. Just something to think about. Tears, he's usually ran at 1. He's helpful in some matchups because he can't be destroyed while he has the material. When he's attacked, or does attack at the end of the damage step, at the end of the battle phase, my bad, that he gets to pop a card on the opponent's field, which is good. And you got the detach one during each end phase, keep that in mind. Also works with Honest. Shark Fortress, his effect is good. You might not see him often because you need all the extra deck space. He could make a face-up monster have a second attack during the battle phase that's turn. He's 4800 by himself on a clear field, which is good. Bark is there for when they have one monster and get off at least that much damage. Him is when you have no monsters on your opponent's side of the field and you want to try to cause as much damage. Run 1 if you're gonna run 1. Having him use his effect on Patholometer 7 and him on the field, that's 7,800 800 if I did my math correctly. Not a OTK, but close to one. One is in Maine. Jamal. Sorry for my bad name pronouncing. If you really don't like set cards on the field, it's a good choice. I see people overlook him. He could be combined with safe zone if you have one face down. He works pretty well, but he might overtake him for his main use. But one advantage that he got over him is he don't have the restriction that your opponent has to have more cards than you when you winning, and they trying to like bluff you a lot. He can be a good way to just clear those bluffs or get rid of that set monster and something that you might not need instead of running one, because he's one of the newest ones to come out. You could discard your hand to the graveyard, draw a few cards. You typically don't have a card advantage when you play with this deck, but he doesn't offer any other benefits, so there's not much of a point of playing him. Next, Gemini Pearl. Some people run Gemini Pearl in their decks, but I'm gonna tell you, there's almost no reason to run Gemini Pearl, because the only main monster you getting over is Evil Swan Orphan, or Orpheon, whatever his name is, which is the Evil Swan's boss monster rank 4. But the thing is, you already pretty much own the matchup, and if you really needed to run over it, you have BI, play Dynamo. You have many other lovely options to get rid of Orphan if you're really that scared of it. Extra abilities, let's go. And that's why you do not run Gemini Pro, or shouldn't run Gemini Pro. The only little excuse I can see is Skill Drain, Phoenix Chain. Now, Phoenix Chain is gonna stop every extra deck monster besides him, but is that really worth it? Next, Lava Chain. I've seen people use Lava Chain to put Sombras on the top of the deck, get an extra target for Sombras in the graveyard. I don't really like the idea. I just seen it. I don't recommend it though. This plain code OCG card like these two are, this specifically could be tech for when Harpy Ladies and Cyber Dragons when/if they become popular, because it only has that benefit for this deck. Crazy Box, if you need to eradicate Shepherd virus target besides LDs, because LD's lower 5. And he could beat underneath Skill Drain, which is the, I'd say honestly, it's the maybe real selling point, even though Eradication Virus is arguably better than that. That's the main reasons why you would consider him. Ship a coin, get rid of problematic monsters like amusingly the next two monsters on here, or him. Really depends if you have the extra deck spot you want to dedicate to him. It's not a bad choice, I just don't run it. Minstroke, I talked about Minstroke could be compared to Orcs Knight. Minstroke, it's really essay up to the player. I tried Minstroke and I never summoned it, just because every other monster that you would run in the extra deck pretty much cover every situation about. The only time I can remember this was useful was a turn where I seen someone XYZ with a GD and Bear, made this in defense mode, I don't even remember if it lived, but that was the only time I remember it being useful. Zen mains, rank 3. If you need a rank 3 really, probably should be Zen mains, but obviously you're not gonna run rank 3s too much. Unless they XYZ Encore one of your rank 4s, then you could go into a rank 3 because they'll be level 3. If you're afraid of Encore, you could run one of them, but you probably want to run Zen mains instead of Hadris. Dire Wolf, up to the player, suicides itself, destroy something. Also, we run 2 Beast Warriors, or at least one all the time, and 1 Beast, so he doesn't always have to suicide with himself, but it's more likely he would. Dusko Emerald is to recycle, but honestly in this deck, unless you're gonna bring him out very late, very late game, because it has just as much attack. Yeah, you can make XYZ. You most likely got 2 Constellars, so you should be aiming for one of these 2, or into one of these other good ones for the occasion. So he's usually shafted. I can't recommend him just because I can't find a situation he applies to very well in outside of an extremely late game where you wouldn't need to make him. Giant Hands OCG monster negates one monster's effect when they activated while it's faced on the field, and it can't change the battle position. I never tried this in Constellar, so I tried this in other decks. Got very mixed results, as sometimes it was completely useless and other times it just was the card that won me the game. So it's up to the player to experiment with Giant Hand, or if trying Photon Pillar. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce his name just because that's how bad I am at pronouncing some of these monsters' names. For some reason, it stopped recording when I was on this monster. But I'm gonna be honest, what I just rambled when I thought this was on wasn't really worth talking about. Run if you want to run, but I honestly don't see it coming in handy a ton. Next is Steel Swarm Roach, which is a shame to, well, the legend that people thought it had. It only could hit monsters on the head it summons, so it doesn't hit rulers, doesn't hit priestess, doesn't hit mermaids. Basically, it's a much worse version of Orphan that doesn't do anything to many good decks. It can still hit synchro monsters though, but with XYZ monsters being used more than synchros with 1900 attack, it's not too good. In fact, I usually mention that they made this monster so good because they made Roach so bad. And it's pretty true. That's why he even looks better than Roach. Well, maybe his gold is a bit more bling than his silver, but whatever. And Adria's, he at one point was almost considered like a staple to the extra deck. He pops a face-up card. He pops only face-up monster, but got the bud. If you think you need to pop a continuous card, you can run him. He's a Radicane Shepherd Demovirus target, which these are the main extra deck monsters I wanted to talk about. There was other ones like Utopia. Yeah, I didn't think I needed to mention Utopia. he had so many reprints that I think everyone in the world, even those who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, know what Utopia do. So there was no need to show them. There was probably a few XYZ monsters I missed, but I covered most of what you should be considering when you making the deck and what actually should be ran when making the deck. So that's it for the extra deck video. Like if you like, leave your comments below. Rant to me about how some of these extra deck choices was better than how I described them, and go Constellars.